Hey guys, this is DeFi Top Signal, and we have a lot to discuss today. Today's the 16th of March, and Drake, are you excited about this upcoming stimmy?
Dude, I'm hyped. I'm
Yeah.
hyped. I got more than I was expecting. I guess it's
hmm
better than Blur. I got rugged on Blur, man. I was like, dude, this stinks.
I got
Scary
Blur,
noise.
but yeah, I traded that like a champ. I really enjoyed that one, but I
That
love
was
stimulus season, man. Blur was like a month. Yeah, it was just last month, exactly one month ago. But yeah, we have this Arbitrum airdrop that we've all been waiting for. It's really I think the tokenomics look pretty decent. We have the Dow Treasury taking 42%, the team and the future team taking, and the advisors taking almost 27%. The initial investors are taking 17.5%, and basically the airdrop is for individual wallets is around 11.6%. So let's just say 12. What are your initial thoughts on this? I'm very happy with my, I think I played around with only about a few $1,000s, but and it was also 6 months ago when I last played. So I did a little bit of transactions here and there, but I think looking back, I'm very happy. And Drake, what are your initial thoughts on this?
Yeah, so with the Arbitrum airdrop, I'll go over some of the qualifications, and I know you shared a tweet with me from the Modest Thief about the potential valuations of where the prices are going to be of the RB token. But for the Arbitrum airdrop itself, I think if you were either early or you had a lot of bags and you were playing with it later, you got handsomely rewarded. So here were some of the qualifications of it. Obviously, the first one is just simply bridging to Arbitrum. If you bridge to Arbitrum 1, you got some airdrop. Same thing with Arbitrum Nova. And I believe what they would do is, it doesn't say this exactly, but in my opinion, just like looking at it from the actual approach of how it is, they would allocate a certain amount of the airdrop. So let's say, for example, they wanted to, well, they airdropped like, what was it, 12% or 11.4% of the tokens?
Yep.
It was something, yeah, something like that. So let's say that 11% of the tokens is 1.1 or 1.2 billion. What I was thinking is what they actually did is they said, hey, look, we're going to allocate 20% of those to people who bridged, 20% to transactions over time, 20% to frequency and interaction, etc. And I would say based on each of the different interactions you made, or at least whoever was pooled in that, would actually get a certain allocation. So let's say you were 1 in 100 people that did that one actual action, you would get 1% of that 20%. So let's just go over the qualifications. That's just what my thought is. The first is bridging to Arbitrum. If you bridged to Arbitrum 1, you got some tokens. If you did Arbitrum Nova, you also got some tokens. If you did some transactions on the chain over time, so this is doing 2 transactions between, or not 2, but any transactions during 2 distinct months. So like you're constantly on there, not just like, hey, I'm airdrop farming. I'm going to make 1 transaction and come back 9 months later to see if I got a drop. No, they were actually pretty smart about it. So if you were active, like claiming rewards, making swaps, LP farming, which is going to be someone who's like a active farmer, you're going to get handsomely rewarded. Now, if you did 6 straight months, you probably got rewarded way more than that too. And then, of course, the 9. And the reason why I think you got way more rewarded is because there's going to be a larger percentage that did the 2 distinct months over the 6. And obviously, if you're one who is super early and doing it 9 straight months, you would have got the largest airdrop. So that's the second portion, transactions over time. The third is going to be your transaction frequency and interaction. So if you did more than 4 transactions with 4 different contracts, you got a certain allocation. If you did 10 with 10 different contracts, you got a larger allocation, in my opinion, than 25 and 100 and so on. And then, of course, transaction value. If you're thinking playing around and swinging $10,000, you got a bonus. If you're swinging 50 grand, you got a bonus. If you did 250, I mean, you got a big bonus. And then, of course, you had the assets bridged to Arbitrum 1, which is if you're swinging more cash, you obviously got a larger drop. And then, of course, your activity on Arbitrum Nova. I was kind of salty. I missed the Arbitrum Nova one, but I don't care. The airdrop was really good. I think I got a pretty good allocation, and I'm happy with it. But on Arbitrum Nova, it was at or more than 3 transactions. I did 3. So I was like, oh, dude.
Did you buy those
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 are the
initial?
main.
Did you buy those NFTs that they were talking about initially?
Yeah, I bought one of the NFTs, and that was part of the 3 transactions. Bridge, approve, mint. And I was like, dude, rip off.
Yeah, I mean it's huge. Arbitrum, and I want to share at the very sometime in this video, I would like to share some of the potential plays on how we should and people should be aware of like what typically happens during an airdrop. So when you get like your Blur airdrop or your other airdrops that you received in the past, I want to ask you what your initial thoughts are. We can talk about it now or talk about it later, but how to potentially play and what trends you typically see after you get your airdrop. But right before we get into that, I kind of want to talk about the Arbitrum ecosystem. So it's been completely thriving. Yes, this is literally the icing on the cake if you've been in Arbitrum the past 6 months, right? Obviously, every single thing that has been native to Arbitrum has been flying. Radiant, GMX, Stargate. I mean, that's on 9chains, but you got Camelot. You also have Vela, which was new, and then Cyberswap. We were talking about gains, Solid Lizard, DopeX, and all that. So it looks like everything in the past 6 months has been completely going bonkers and off the wall. It's been very lucrative to be in this space, despite BTC pulling back since this time last year. It's going to be huge. It's sucking liquidity. It looks like out of other ecosystems. And did you say earlier that I think offline you were saying that something with Kava?
Yeah, you can see it. The people who are front running the liquidity incentives on Kava, you can see they're outflowing into other chains, and Arbitrum mostly is getting that love. They're up 4.43% in a 1-day chain, and Kava is down 7.55%. I mean, the percentages are kind of showing a bigger difference, but you also got to factor in the TVL. Like Arbitrum is a $1.67 billion TVL and Kava is only a 2.48. So the outflows on Kava, what is that, like 12 million? And then the inflows to Arbitrum is like, I don't know, 20, 30 million?
Yeah, just I guess right off the bat, you can just look at ETH. The change in TVL the last 24 hours is -3%. BSC is -1%. Polygon's -1.5%. Optimism's basically almost flat, +2%. Avalanche's -2.5%, and Phantom -2.5%. And you're looking at Kava, you said was -7%. So yeah, potentially of those percentages, Arbitrum is getting that love, and you're seeing it through increase in price increases for most of these native tokens that's on chain.
Yeah, and I know at its peak, Arbitrum was like 1 point, or no, it was actually 2.01 billion. And I do see it getting back up to there, especially with this liquidity flow. So let's go into the price, your thoughts on the price, so that way I can explain why I have this thesis on it.
Okay.
I know you shared this, and I'd rather you go over it. You shared it. You got the alpha on it. You shared the alpha.
No, yeah. So, and I'm just looking just for the general, and just kind of scrolling through crypto Twitter. I'm thinking that the average range would be on the low side for this airdrop. One ARB token is at least going to be $1. I think that's the general consensus. Most folks are saying that, and on the lower side, I did see it was like it's 60 cents, but I don't honestly see that. I'd be very surprised if it went sub dollar. But and then I think on the high side, I'm gonna go pretty bullish on this one. I would say $5-6. I mean, it could go up. It could go up to that. Eventually in within a week or two because of the whole hype. There's a lot of money flowing through this, so I wouldn't put $1 to $5 is probably the my range. You?
Yeah, so I mean, just going based on comparison to Optimism, Optimism dropped, what was it, 300,000 tokens or 250 when they initially dropped, and those were priced like $1. So that's like 250 mil just airdrop to people. I see Arbitrum as a bigger ecosystem, but they're airdropping a total of 1.6 billion tokens or 1.640 billion tokens. And I mean, potentially just like the meme potential and just looking at the total TVL, I mean, it's a little over twice the size of Optimism if we're going to go from peak to peak with the TVL liquidity flows that were in there. I could see Arbitrum maybe trading around $1.50, maybe $2 when it drops like peak euphoria. I don't think it will do that immediately. I think it'll take a few days for people who are salty. They missed the Arbitrum airdrop and buying it up and bidding it up. And the reason why I think this is all the chains on there, they're going to launch LP pools for the Arbitrum token. So at first, it's just going to be a farm, or not a farm, but a claim and dump token. But as there's a liquidity pools launching up, and I'm sure Arbitrum is going to give out like stimmy checks to all the other protocols. Like, hey, look, make a pool for this. Or, hey, look, you brought this many transactions to our chain, so we're going to give you a large token supply. And I see those protocols, similar to what Optimism did, incentivizing through these protocols, like juicing the yields. An example would be Curve. Deposit into the LP pool. Of course, you farm Curve tokens at a 3% yield, but we'll also give you some ARB tokens for like a 10% yield just to stimulate the economy. And when you're dropping that many tokens, let's just call it, instead of, I mean, it's 1.6 billion tokens if it trades at around $1.50. Let's just say it trades at 75 cents. That's a $750 million liquidity inflow into the chain. Or not 750, more like 850. Or no, that would be more like a million because there's 1.6 billion. So that's like a $1 billion inflow into the chain. And when you have that inflow, as people dump that or sell that, the money has to go somewhere. And if it leaves the chain, well, then it leaves the chain, but it goes into DeFi. But if it stays on the chain, going to farm more RB tokens, then I can definitely see that happening.
Yeah, that's interesting take. I honestly think that that would be the $1 to $2 would probably be the price range. But I do want to share a quick tweet that I did just read this just now. This is from Damon. Although ARB is only a governance token for now, selling ARB for $1 or $2 can end up being like selling ETH ICO at $10 to $20. You really want to hodl this one. It is the only chain outside of ETH with organic growth and activity. So, food for thought there. It's interesting. I mean, that might.
I could see a narrative for it, potentially. Yeah. Like Optimism, I didn't see the narrative at first, but then Base Chain came, and then I was like, wait, this could be like the Curve token, but for chains. And maybe Arbitrum can do that as well. I don't know if you looked into it any at all, but on the claim page, I'll leave a link for those watching the podcast. It'll be on Spotify as well as on YouTube if you guys want to go check to see if you guys got a stimmy check. But inside that, they have something called Arbitrum Orbit. Make sure if you are claiming them, make sure go ahead and do a vote in case there is a second airdrop. Hint, hint, there probably is going to be one similar to Optimism. But make sure you do like a little vote, whatever, just play around, just, play the game. But basically, they're deploying layer 3 chains on top of Arbitrum. So if layer 2 wasn't enough, they're looking at layer 3. I haven't looked into the full details on this, but it looks like they're going to have other chains built on Arbitrum, similar to like Coinbase chain is to Optimism.
Yeah, looks like Radiant right now, as you were saying, that Radiant, the leading lending platform on Arbitrum, is basically making its all-time high right now at 35 cents.
Good times, good
Y-
times.
Yeah, I do
A
not
lot
hold
of
it.
the Arbitrum tokens are going to be popping off right now. Like Camelot is going nuts and ham right now. The reason why is people are front running the narrative because it's a stimmy check. Like there's going to be a drop in about 5 or 6 to 7 days. It's like 6 days and 19 hours. When those tokens drop, if people are going to sell them and they're like, hey man, that's a token that I wanted to buy. I just never bought it because it went all time highs. Well, if I just got stimmy check some money and I have a long term approach and I'm like, I don't want this USDC coin. It just stinking depegged. And I could have been holding it and selling it for Tether and lost 20% of my money or 15%, whatever, selling it at its bottom. I'm just going to ape it into one of these Arbitrum coins, hoping for the best. Now, this is like a short term play. I do see the Arbitrum token like getting nuked pretty hard, similar to Blur did. But maybe it'll find it's similar to Optimism too. But
Yeah,
maybe eventually it'll find its ground. But yeah, like if you are able to claim like instantly, me personally, I think the best approach for that is sell half of it and wait it out. I mean, if it dunks or if it dumps like I don't know, 80, 90% from where the starting price was and you just claimed it, and you're probably the last person to claim it, I would just wait it out. But that's just me. Airdropping, it's one of those things. It's the token after it gets through the dumpers, it ends up making an extreme rally, similar to what the Uni token did. But we'll see what happens.
yeah. I mean, certain times, when the Uni token came out, that was right before DeFi was taking off, right? That was a big airdrop, and I wasn't a part of that, but man, I think that airdrops during the either whether you're in a bull, you're start of the bull, or in the deep bear, um, obviously there's different trends, right? And this is, I gotta say though, this is probably the one of the most anticipated airdrops that everyone has been waiting for. Everyone has been wanting one, right? Everyone's waiting into hey, when ARB token
Win.
since last like August, and as soon as when I entered the ecosystem, Radiant was at 2 cents. GMX was at like 35 bucks. It's just it's insane how much the ecosystem has grown. Um, Even the Arbitrum TVL at that point was, I think it was around like 900 million. Not even. But it's grown so much. I think there's a lot of obvious plays here, but in my opinion, obviously we are the top signal, so every time we buy, everything goes down typically. Um, I am really looking for if it does hit sub dollar, and when people start selling off, I might take a big chunk and buy this and hold for the long term. I think that Arbitrum might be my top three in my hodl bag. So I'm just gonna say it. So if it goes underneath the dollar, I'm gonna keep buying it and keep slurping it all up. That's
Yeah,
how I'm playing it.
I could see Arbitrum as a narrative. I think how I'm going to play it, depending on what the price is and if I'm able to claim it quick enough, I'm instantly going to sell half of it
Mhm.
and then just let it settle out, see what happens. Maybe buy some more, or I'm going to look at some of the other plays. I'm a DGen man, so I'm going to be looking at some of the other lower market cap coins. I think Arbitrum will do well long term. I agree with the statement that you made. Same thing like on Optimism, having a similar narrative to that, like a little curve token with that. But I'm going to be looking at some of the potential plays outside of Arbitrum after selling that. The reason why is because I think a lot of people are front running this, and I'll be looking back onto Kava and looking at Optimism as well as Phantom. I think Phantom is oversold, and not because the liquidity flows, but first I have enough exposure to Arbitrum, so I'm not really looking to buy some stuff. But I think a lot of liquidity is flowing over in anticipation in anticipation. I said that wrong again. And did I? Anticipation, whatever. Anticipating this airdrop. So I'm going to be skating where I think the puck is going to go. Sure, I may be wrong. Sure, Arbitrum may hold the love, but I'm just going to play it out like Optimism did. Optimism, when it had its airdrop, it went. When was the airdrop? Obviously, just looking at the charts, it looks like it was around August 10th. Nah, it was earlier than that, wasn't it? Was Arbitrum, or when was the Optimism airdrop?
Wasn't that last year in the summer?
OP, when was the OP airdrop? So the OP airdrop happened on May 2022. So if we're looking at the charts in May 2022, yeah. So here, April 27th, it peaked at a $442 million TVL. Then come May, whatever, it leveled around 400 mil and then dumped to 2.3 or 237 mil. And then we just traded sideways and then finally picked up again around July 16th, peaking out at 1.14 billion in August. So if you look at the TVL chart, it looks like the liquidity flows that came were just front running the narrative of like, oh snap, Optimism airdrop. I'm not saying Arbitrum is going to be the same. I think it'll be a little bit different because people eventually just got tired. Whereas Optimism, people were anticipating it, and then the airdrop came. Whereas Arbitrum, it was like anticipating. Okay, it's not coming. I'm leaving. Whereas Optimism, it was a straight build-up hype. Like, okay, here's airdrop. All right, cool, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. So me, I'm going to be selling half at the beginning, and then seeing what happens with that, and obviously looking at some plays on Kava, Phantom, as well as on Optimism. Now, if you have zero exposure to Arbitrum and you don't have any airdrop tokens, me personally, if you're taking a long-term approach, I would say to take a DCA approach, like buying now, maybe a day from now, whatever. Probably not now because the announcement was made, but look for a good entry, maybe a dip, and use it as a DCA approach. That way, if it does drop and the alts end up mooning, then you at least had a piece. But if they end up dumping, you can always buy some more. And I would say look at the long-term approaches. For me personally, the long-term plays would be like a GMX, a Gains Network. Vela Exchange is okay. Not super bullish on it. But I like it. It's cool. They just had USDC exposure. I don't like that junk. Dopex is cool. I like them. Lyra Finance, those guys are the sauce. They do have another new DEX that just launched. It's up TVL wise 7,900%. It's got 26 mil TVL. It's Ramsey's exchange. These guys were a split over from Solidly, but it looks like their flywheel is rolling. Their token is up like 500% today. So yeah, probably best to just farm it right now. Wow. Yeah, this thing is nuts. But if you had some of the most solid token on Solidly on Ethereum and you migrated, you got some of this airdrop to you. But yeah, that's going to be how I'm playing it.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't say Radiant, so I think Radiant is a good. There's no competition right now for Radiant. I mean, there's other competitions for the lending platform, but they're mainly multi-chain. But anything super native to the chain itself and exclusively to the chain, I think that Radiant is going to be a strong player as well, like there as well. And I would definitely add it to your list because your list is strong. So the only thing I
remember.
would say is just Radiant for sure.
Yeah, I remember Radiant. What's the biggest thing you like about Radiant?
It's token? Just so I find it that there's in all of Arbitrum, not just Radiant alone, but in all of Arbitrum, it's every single of the top, I would say 10 or the popular native protocols. They're all super clean. Like everything, there's no glitch to it. It's well made. It's obviously GMX has forked everywhere. But Radiant, the website is very clean. It's easy to use. Yes, it's a fork of Aave. but it just shows a different side of it. And I think there's a lock token mechanism as well that you can kind of, if you really wanted to stake your Radiant tokens, there's a DAO feature to it, and then your deposit it and borrow features to it. So, I'm mainly bullish when I think about plays, much like how I went in with Solana during Solana summer of I think it was 2020. I think it was Solana 2020. That summer, basically, I had the narrative where I need to find a lending platform, and I need to find a native DEX. I need to farm both of them, right? So I just basically took that approach to everything, and it's always hit for me. It's always been the bread and butter in terms of guaranteed, and I hate to say that, right? But it's always churned out a lot of successes for me. So getting on AVAX during that time when I rotated from Solana over to briefly over to Polygon, and then went over to Terra, and then I went over to AVAX and FTM. I always found the native lending platforms that was easy to use, that was either whatever fork it is, but if it was native to the chain, I'm all for it, and it's always performed very well for me. So in this case, it's Radiant for me, and the DEX is obvious, right?
Yeah, no, I'm looking at Radiant. It actually looks pretty good. It reminds me of a Geist fork. The biggest thing, or Geist Finance on Phantom, it was a pretty big guy.
Right.
Basically, what it looks like on here, it says omni-chain. Does that mean they're going to be multi-chain in the future?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, because it says earn interest and borrow assets cross-chain in 3 clicks. So, sounds pretty cool if they do get the omni-chain. The biggest thing I see with this is it kind of looks like they're throwing a curve model into the dashboard itself. I remember chatting on a Twitter space with the dude behind Radiant, and I did like his aspirations and ideas and where he was looking to take the project. The only thing I really didn't like about it was the dependency on the token, but looks like the flywheel is doing well, which is holding up. Because the main reason why people, well, not why they would, I mean, they get value out of it because they lend out ETH and can borrow some stables, obviously. But some people do loop this, and it looks like there is some loop TVL. But yeah, Radiant looks like a pretty good token, especially in a bull market. I don't know how it would work in a bear market, though, with most people doing the looping. But hey, no, this could be a good reflexive play for the chain. I like it. But yeah, I'm gonna be looking at the Kava and Optimism and Phantom. What are your thoughts on Skate and where you think the puck is going? You think that's a bad idea?
I mean, people are doing that right now with Arbitrum, right? But I think when it comes to, I don't know, I think Phantom is going to be a big one. Still, I'm very bullish on the Phantom ecosystem. I don't know. I've spreading my money to across several different chains is a good thing to diversify, but I tend to get unfocused when I'm like invested in across like 8 to 15 different tokens. I think my strategy is typically just focus on 2 chains that I could kind of pay attention to, and then just focus on that, farm the hell out of it. And I think that Arbitrum is my number 1, and then Phantom would be my number 2. Optimism, Polygon, I haven't been playing around too much in Optimism. Polygon, not too much either. But knowing that the fact that Arbitrum has been making some higher highs with their current TVL, surpassing Optimism, surpassing Polygon, even Avalanche and Phantom. I think Phantom is probably going to surpass, and I'm probably going to bite my tongue when I say this, but I think Phantom might surpass Avalanche down the road in terms of ecosystem, right?
Yeah, definitely. In my
Yeah.
opinion, yeah, Avalanche is like a copy chain.
Yeah, it is. There's nothing really going on.
I mean, it's got subnets, but there's nothing new there.
Exactly. So that's why that ecosystem, that TVL, might be a misnomer, but because of the subchains. But I honestly don't think that there's much to do on Optimism, because if I'm looking at the Avalanche ecosystem at this point, number 4 in terms of TVL is GMX, right? GMX came from Arbitrum, so like this is not native to Avalanche. Banky's up there. What else is there? I mean, I don't. There's Platypus. There's
Here's what I see in Optimism. I see innovation similar to I did on Phantom, of like early stuff. So something that came, an example is Velodrome. A lot of these projects fork Velodrome. Why? Because forking the solidly fork is junk. I mean, it's not that it's bad, but like there were some errors and issues messed up, and Velodrome made one of the best, or some of the best changes to it. And of course, the OP token helped its flywheel go. But all these other solidly forks you see out there, they're basically just a fork of Velodrome. Another example that you see that's crazy innovation is Synthetics, the OG, the guy who started DeFi Summer. Of course, they didn't originate on Optimism. They originated on Ethereum, but there's a reason Kane chose Synthetics. I'm sorry, Optimism. It's that I mean, there's no other way to put it. Like he likes Optimism. Coinbase, they chose Optimism. Why Optimism over Arbitrum? Same thing with Beethoven X. Beethoven Finance beats on Phantom. Those guys were legends in Phantom, and they chose Optimism. Then you even have D-Hedge. D-Hedge, it's a smaller protocol, but it's got a lot of innovation. One of the innovative points was like you can hedge your positions. Like an example on Synthetics, if you want to hedge your debt, and you like on Synthetics when you're staking your SNX and borrowing SUSD, you're taking on debt. And if Bitcoin, ETH, and whatever's inside that token pair that people are trading with, if they moon, your debt goes up. But with D-Hedge, you can take that position and automatically select those pairs. Just imagine having D-Hedge, but for GMX. So like if you wanted to hedge on GMX, so traders weren't just like destroying you and having impermanent loss, maybe D-Hedge is able to set something else or set something up like that. Lyra Finance, one of the best options protocols in the space, they originated on Optimism. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff on Optimism. That's mainly why I like them. But as always, time will tell. We'll see what happens.
So are you bullish on the Optimism token itself, or are you bullish on the Optimism tech, or if that's a synonymous?
I'm not buying Optimism. I'm not that bullish. I'm farming it. So that's the same thing I'm probably going to do with Arby. If they have a token, I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to farm it, which, I mean, it's probably, if you have the thesis on it, it's always best to deploy and buy. Like, I mean, I would have been so much better off if I simply bought Optimism when it was trading around 50 cents or 60 cents whenever it dumped to. Like, that would have been the best play. But I didn't. I just farmed it. I mean, it's just one of those things. One other one I didn't mention is Quinta. They're on Optimism.
That's right.
Using the Synthetics tech stack. I mean, they got a lot of stuff over there. It's cool stuff.
Know, this also brings me another point, because, just talking about the governance structure and the tech behind Optimism. Yes, Coinbase selected, Optimism Substack, right? Not Substack. Stack, or the OP stack. So that says and speaks so much, right? It says so much because of how much they trust it. And they could have selected Arbitrum if they really wanted to. They could have selected Polygon if they really wanted to, or another L1, or another L2. I'm just thinking that I'm probably going to set aside, and this is a different play that I'm thinking about too, just down the line. I'm going to set aside a few stacks just to see in when Coinbase, the base L2 is going to come out, because I'm excited for that one. I'm very excited for that ecosystem. They're going to onboard so much of new users, current users, and the space is going to be completely thriving, and it's going to be easy. Have you taken a look at Coinbase, the wallet and the new features on the website? They have been adding so many different features. There's a DApp website. There's a DApp function. There's an NFT function. There's just little selections as that, and even snooping around in their Discord. the base Discord. It's a great environment. They even had an announcement on the 12th a few days ago. They basically said, as some of you may notice, we're in the process of adding a guild.xyz to help automate new roles, new channels, this and that. Basically, you can just kind of go in here and take a look at this guild.xyz, primarily for base, and see and just snoop around. There was a small hint. I'm not sure if I see it right now, but there was a small hint within their messaging that I don't know. I hate to speculate this, but is there going to be a forthcoming token for this? They said no. They initially said no, but
I listened to Brian Armstrong's AMA. He was pretty adamant that there wasn't going to be a token, but I mean
Okay.
that doesn't mean they won't have one in the future. I mean, he was kind of explaining the main reason why they wanted to have a Coinbase chain is because their ultimate vision was to basically have their own chain they can port people to just from their exchange, and then like in the future even having like Coinbase traded stock, so like RWAs, like real world assets, like the coin stock literally on chain to where you can redeem it for the actual stock itself. So maybe like a KYC side chain on Coinbase. I mean, he just gave different examples. He didn't say what he wanted to do exactly, but he's pretty adamant about not having a coin.
That's interesting. There's also because you're mentioning the RWA, right? The real world assets. There is a small market cap project that's out there right now. It's called Swarm Markets, I think. The ticker is
Oh yeah,
SMT, and so I think
yeah.
I think it's fully collateralized. So as soon as let me step back. The idea behind this protocol is that you are able to trade the Tesla stock 1-to-1 of the actual stock itself. It's fully collateralized. And I think down the line, if they start building out this decentralized trading platform that's basically primarily servicing a 1-to-1 backed fully collateralized asset, right? If you buy one share of Tesla and then this you buy it through this decentralized application here that they have here, Swarm, you can get the actual one full, that's fully collateralized and backed by the actual stock. I think that's probably where, I don't know. I think there's opportunity for them to be, a heavy hitter in this space, but I'm not sure. I mean, you can certainly speculate on the token itself, but I have to take a look at what's going on. But I think that's probably one of the newer protocols that is trying to break through to this market.
Yeah, I think that's basically the face of the protocol is some chick named Katie Evans. I was chatting with her and trying to grasp the thought around it. It's a good idea. Basically, it's exactly what you're saying, and they do have a little liquidity mining campaign going on Polygon with Uniswap to build up their liquidity. But the biggest concern I had for them is, let's say, for example, the market collapses, Swarm gets hacked, and all the liquidity in the pools get drained, and Swarm, as the protocol itself, goes bankrupt. Who gets to access the Tesla, the Apple stocks, the stuff that is stored with the custodian? Like, for example, who gets the claim on that? Is it the Swarm owners, the Swarm creditors, the people who bought the digitized version that is basically a receipt from the Swarm company itself, and if Swarm goes bust or is a hack? Like, those were some of the things that I was concerned about, because at that point you're putting your trust in a bank instead of code, because you're relying on that code to allow that redemption to be issued. That was mainly the concern I had with it, but other than that, the idea is great.
Yeah, it
I
is.
like the RWAs and the ideas and thesis behind it.
Yeah, it just goes to show how early we are with everything. It's
Yeah.
so early, and we had Nick on the show yesterday, and he was just talking about the macro and this and that, and talk about his insight. And he said it again, like, this is extremely early. We're only like 3 years, maybe 2.5 years into DeFi. This market needs to mature completely, and it's there's a lot going on, and you can make copy pasta of everything else. There's a coin coming out every single second. So obviously, all of that needs to be regulated somehow, some way, whether it's through a DAO, whether it's through the L1, L2. There's a lot to talk about and unpack there, but yes, we are extremely early. But yeah, initially we really wanted to talk about this episode. Just was the Arbitrum airdrop. It's Stimmy season. Last month was Blur. This month is ARB. So we're excited.
Harvey.
Yeah, and I'm happy with my airdrop. Drake, you should be happy with yours. And I hope you guys are happy with yours. So thank you for joining this episode really quick.
I want to end it on one thing. Since we were talking about real world assets, I want to share a story with the viewers. So this was a true story. It was an investment or a cryptocurrency I bought back in 2020 in the altcoin days. It was called DMM Governance. So have you heard about them?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, yeah, it was OG times. But basically, what DMM Governance was a protocol that was tokenized assets. So it was the same RWA little thing, but it was with cars. So you would get a yield on these cars. So as a loan was given out on a car, whatever, you were entitled to the yield from that car. And this token was trading like $1.50, $1. And what happened was one day, just randomly, the token tanks to like 7 cents. And on their Twitter page, they said, hey, we're under SEC investigation, da 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 da. We're closing up shop. That's the risk, and that's the concerns I see with some of these RWA protocols. They can be good at first, but one day you might wake up, SEC is down their necks, and just like, dude, what's going on? Like, what are you guys doing? You guys can't be doing this. Or there's a hack, and then the wealth that you have just evaporates like that. Yes, this is a true story, and everything I invested is basically gone. But it's just something to think about. I just wanted to share with you guys, like, just be careful when you're looking at these. It's not something that's like a MakerDAO or like a GMX protocol to where it's like a decentralized thing. You're dealing with like actual securities and people trying to trade regulated things. It's not like oh hey, we're going to be trading poop coin and USDC. Like those are just altcoins. This is something that's like actual things and actual stocks that the SEC can come after, and they have no choice. Close up shop. So it's not just smart contract risk. You now take on the risk of regulators. So something to keep in mind.
It sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, the Wild Wild West is still here for crypto, just in general, especially for DeFi. But we are here to make the do the research for you guys. Hopefully, you guys are doing your own. We are Top Signal, so it's everything that we buy, basically say here within these episodes.
It's the
are
top.
thoughts of our own. Yeah, it's a top. It's literally
It's
every
the
time we
top. Don't buy it.
Yeah, if I say that I'm going to sell this, I'm literally going to regret myself because it goes up, and then it's just the inverse of everything. So
like when viewers are watching this, if you're watching this now, we're telling you it's the top. It's time to sell.
yeah, so happy farming, happy airdrop farming. Congratulations to everyone that got in on this airdrop, and stay safe out there. Drake, hit him with the one-liner.
Wisdom one-liner, baby. Proverbs chapter 11 verses 13. A gossip betrays a confidence, but a trustworthy person keeps a secret. That's true, man. Don't gossip about people. Sometimes a little birdie will carry that, and you'll ruin your relationship.
Speaks the truth right there. All right, thanks for joining, everyone. Take it easy.
Cheers.